Hello, everyone. Today, I want to talk about these pens that I bought. These are the Tombow brush pens. I found a pack of three on Amazon for under $10. And I've seen people use brush pens, and I've seen people use specifically Tombow brush pens. So I figured, why not add them to my collection? So, just like any brush pen, it does require a little bit of practice to use, just because they work a little bit different, and I'll explain why in a little bit. So the pack came with three. It came with a soft brush, which is basically the wider one, right? So when you press down on the brush itself, it will give you a wider one. Then you have the hard brush, which is a little bit finer, basically, I think is the best way to explain how this one works. And then this little combination, which is somewhere in the middle between the hard and the soft brush. But what I liked about this is it came with black, and it came with a really great shade of gray that I'll show you in a bit also. So first, let's go ahead and see the differences in this, and then some of the things that I've had to keep in mind when using a brush pen. All right, let's get to it. So the brush pen follows the same etiquette of a calligraphy or a fountain pen, which is press down on the down strokes so that you can get the width that you're looking for, and release for the upstrokes. Now, with a calligraphy pen or with a fountain pen, it's a lot easier. I've noticed, because with this, but first let's show the difference in size, right? So no pressure, pressure, right? That's the soft brush. Here is the middle one that I feel is middle, and that's this one here. Oh wait, no pressure, no pressure, pressure. What I like is the consistent flow of the ink too. It really shows the, the black that I'm looking for. And then this would be the finer one. Yeah, you can tell the difference. This one's a little bit harder. You can't bend it as much. And then the gray one I was talking about, which I'm really I don't know what to do with yet, but I will find something to do with this one. So like I was saying, they follows the same etiquette of the pressing on the downstroke, up on the releasing on the upstroke, downstroke, right? Though, because you're going to be doing cursive or type of calligraphy, you will end up with turns like this, right? So this happens to me right now, where I don't get the same effect as that every time, just because I'm releasing too late. Meaning, by releasing too late, I'm keeping the thickness of the stroke, as opposed to releasing on time and then maybe too early here, to be able to get the extent of what I'm looking for. So yeah, see, this happens. So again, just like anything else, a little bit of practice will eventually take that, which means you should spend hours doing stuff like this until hopefully you get it. And then once you feel comfortable enough, then you can start adding other letters. And then this is happening here, I notice, right? So it's almost like the pen doesn't quite, oof, this is just a big, I'm just gonna circle the whole thing because that's a mess. Yep, there's something about how it, maybe I need to hold it differently so that I can get that effect. Or again, just practice, practice, practice until, oof, that's rough. Until you get what you're looking for. So let's just play around with them a little bit, show you the difference with actual words and potentially what I would use them for. There we go. Okay, so we saw what this one could do. So let's try a word that has a lot of loops and things like that. Like, already off to a bad start. That's the other thing about a brush pen. You're not, so before I continue, you're not going to want to treat it like cursive. So there is no continuous writing, right? I feel like if you did that, you would not get the effect of what you're going to try, because as you can tell, everything looks very different. So you'll want to lift after every movement. So for me, for example, I would do the beginning of the A. Let me try that again. Beginning of the A, then the lift and do the back of the A, then the beginning of the N, then lift and do the rest of the N. Same with the I is one solid stroke. The M would be 1 to start, 2 for the middle, 3 for the end. Then the A again, 2 movements. And the L, you can do 2 ways, right? You can just do this, but that part. Or in my case, if you wanted to kind of make it look like they're connecting. But yeah, so something to be mindful of, you are going to be lifting your pen quite a bit in order to be able to get that smooth looking transition, even though it's not that smooth. Also, remember that slow is fast, because in this case it is. The slower you practice, the faster you'll be able to do this when you're actually doing it for, a project, your letter writing, or whatever the case may be. Okay, so let's compare the middle size now. This one, let's see. So this one, the tip already feels a little bit different for some reason. And you can tell already that the A is off. Yeah, this feels like a soft tip, but again, probably gonna get some getting used to. I like it though, but yeah, it's a lot more sensitive than the previous one. Well, wow, that's just a mess right there. That's not, look at that. And then the finer tip here. This feels more like a pen, if that makes sense. Like, it feels like something you're familiar with, because even when you press down, it doesn't feel like it gives that much. So it definitely feels more natural to write with, which is interesting. Okay, so you can see the 3 different layers of it. This one definitely I would use for like letter writing or note writing, just because it's fun. Again, this is for slow right now until I can get more practice in. And then let's just see what we can do with that gray. I'm thinking like maybe a shadow or an accent to a letter. Let's see what we can do. Okay, so we are going to use the thick brush, just because this one I think will give us the effect that I'm seeing in my head. But let's see if the reality is different than what my head looks like. So we're going to go with a B. And yeah, see, the bigger you do, the easier it feels to make those transitions. So good old-fashioned B. Now this is where I would come in with this gray and kind of trace it right on the outside to give it that shadow effect. That's pretty much what I would use this for. So yeah, see, that looks kind of cool. I don't know if I would need to let it dry a little more, but looks good to me. Let's see what it would look like with a word. Let's use a different word. So, what letters do I like using? Um, let's do an S. Let's do sing. Okay. So let's see. So in this one, I think I'm only going to do the down strokes. I'm not going to do the thin up strokes. Let's see what this looks like. I don't hate it. Let's do the same thing, but put the lighting on the right so the casting shadows on the left. And you can see that from when I started with the S to when I finished, I got more comfortable, and that's where you can tell the thickness. Okay, we're gonna put the shadow behind it this time, just to see if it gives it a different, better effect that we can use maybe. I don't hate it, to be honest. I don't. So, initial review of the Tombow brush pens. I do like them. I definitely will need a ton of practice with them, just because they are new, and it's gonna take some getting used to. But yes, I definitely do recommend these. They are fun. They make you want to write, no matter what it is, even if it's the same word over and over. Yeah, I recommend that anybody get these. These are great. And I'm gonna look deeper into their brand to see what else I can find that could potentially be useful. Cool. All right, everybody, have a good one. Thanks for watching.